greatest of right now. Wilder, Fury 2, here we go.
Okay, we'll start with this. Well, Fury claims that his retirement is near, but top-ranked president is not sure. Fury was quoted as saying, "I've got 2 fights left, and then we're really going to think about what we're going to do from there." Fury 31 told British TV show this morning, "I'm undefeated in 31 professional fights. This is my 12th year as a professional, so yeah, it's what I want." But his co-promoter, top-ranked president Todd Duboff, has worked with numerous fighters who retired and eventually came back to fight again. Some came back within a few months, and others came back within years. Duboff could see Fury sticking to his guns and retiring from boxing, but he could easily see him coming back to the sport for more fights. Manny Pacquiao was retired for a while, and he's 42, Duboff told Reuters. Bernard Hopkins was never coming back. Conor McGregor, retired. We'll see how it plays out. He may get inspired, and there could be a Wilder versus Fury 4 fight. There could be an Anthony Joshua 1, 2, and 3 fights. Who the hell knows, right? I'm not going to predict anything, but I've been in the business a long time, and I've seen people, when they thought it was time to get out, come back. It's an intriguing proposition that Fury could be leaving the sport very soon, inside of, maybe 2 to 3 more fights.
Possible. It's
intriguing, and from where I'm sitting, it seems entirely possible, because think of what would have taken place leading up to that. That if Tyson Fury dispatches Wilder in the 3rd fight the way he did 2 weeks ago, and he moves on from that, has an Anthony Joshua fight or Anthony Joshua fights,
2 of them.
Perhaps 2 of them. If he wins those fights as well, there will be very little unfinished business for Tyson Fury in the sport of boxing. He will have competed at the highest level, the highest levels, against the who's who of yesteryear and today. Lest we forget, Tyson Fury gave Derek Chisora his first professional loss. He locked horns with that guy 2 times. He ended the reign of Vladimir Klitschko, the most dominant force, the most dominant champion, unified champion of the postmodern era.
At heavyweight.
It's a guy who reigned for something like close to 10 years, right?
Right.
Tyson Fury ended all of that. There are many fighters who go their entire careers without collecting a scalp quite like the scalp of a Vladimir Klitschko. Oh, granted, the fight's aesthetic wasn't particularly pleasing, but better still, in the realm of accomplishments and unfinished business,
in that arena,
things that should have happened but never did. That's the kind of victory that many fighters go their entire career without having amassed, and Tyson Fury can say that he ended the reign of Vladimir Klitschko. It's not all, folks. We know he came back.
Yeah.
We know that he fought Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
The WBC champion, not once, but twice.
Yeah.
The resurgence of Tyson Fury, given his hiatus from the sport of boxing. He was away for so long. How could he possibly be serious when he says he wants to fight Deontay Wilder and he's going to beat that guy? Nobody took him seriously, but look at where we are today. And bear in mind that time has not yet set in
to process everything.
Many people are still processing the events which took place 2 weeks ago. Tyson Fury manhandling what is supposed to be the biggest puncher of the postmodern era. Enough time has not set in to fully digest just those 2 fights, those 2 victories. That Tyson Fury was able to go 12 rounds coming from what he was coming from with Deontay Wilder was a small victory, a moral victory in and of itself. Ahead of the 2nd fight, he starts talking about knocking a guy out. Nobody believes him. I didn't believe him. I didn't think Tyson Fury could go in there and do what he did. But that's very much how it played out. Tyson Fury was true to his word. In the 2nd fight, he's looking for a knockout, and he's going to get it.
And he got it.
Enough time has not set in to view just those
2 or 3 fights
victories through the proper lens.
But just you wait.
But those 2 victories in and of themselves are enough to retire on.
Just that stuff.
Because I reiterate, there are many fighters that go their entire careers without having accomplished what Tyson Fury has accomplished right there. So a rematch clause is invoked that will see Tyson Fury locking horns with Deontay Wilder for a third time. And the prevalent opinion, with the people on the ground, is that he may dispatch Wilder in even more brutal fashion than he did 2 weeks ago, because time in and of itself does not allow Wilder the avenue of opportunity to improve in all the ways that he would need to, given the one-sided beating that he just took. If Tyson Fury finishes off Wilder, perhaps even retires him, just that in and of itself is legacy-defining for Tyson Fury. Enough to retire on. More than many fighters before Tyson Fury have retired on. Because a lot of guys, they really don't retire on a high. Whereas for Tyson Fury, it's entirely plausible, not just possible, but plausible, that he could. There are many fighters out there that did not retire on their own terms the way that Tyson Fury can hear. That it wasn't so much that those fighters, some more accomplished than others, retired from the sport of boxing more than the sport of boxing retired them. Tyson Fury's swan song, as it were, could go a lot better for him than, say, Bernard Hopkins' swan song or Roy Jones Jr.'s swan song or many other fighters who were very accomplished fighters, held many legacy-defining fights, but ultimately, at the end of their careers, and their careers ending, wasn't it as a result of them making that decision so much as the sport itself in many ways made that decision for them. Tyson Fury has the opportunity to alter his path, alter his fate, because he's on a high right now, and
There's not that much left to do.
what could happen in the next 2 to 3, maybe even 4 fights, would leave very little unfinished business thereafter for him. I invite you to imagine a world where Tyson Fury has beaten Deontay Wilder in the third fight. And for what many people would say would be the third time, because there are a lot of people that feel he won the first fight. He certainly won the second. If he does it a third time, well, that makes 3. That would make 3. Imagine a world where it was Tyson Fury that perhaps retired the postmodern era's biggest puncher, as some people describe him, Deontay Wilder. And imagine that the same guy who retired the postmodern era's biggest puncher also happens to be the same guy that ended the reign of Vladimir Klitschko, the postmodern era's most dominant champion. It will have been the same guy that defeated and unseated both of these world champions. If you ask me whether or not Tyson Fury is on the cusp of retirement, that he's not there yet, but he's getting closer, I would say yes. And when he retires, having retired already...
Years ago.
I mean, did we forget that after the Klitschko fight, Fury walked away from the sport? I'll say, here, if he walks away in the near future, it's for good, and it's for keeps. As if he does it this time, there will be very little unfinished business left behind for Tyson Fury. Oh, granted, he's not there yet. He's got to make his way past Deontay Wilder one more time before what could be the most legacy-defining fight for Tyson Fury of his entire career. The fights with Anthony Joshua. There are many fighters who retired at some point in their career. For one reason or another, they ended up coming back. Usually it's finance. Usually it's because the guy he fell on hard times. He had to keep making money. He's been a boxer for so long. It's all he knows how to do.
Yeah.
So that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
There are those guys. But the other guys who retire on a high, your Finito Lopez, your Floyd Mayweather Jr., your Andre Ward, your Joe Calzaghe, these kind of guys, when they left on a high, having accomplished most of what there is to accomplish, if not all, when those guys went, they didn't come back. You know, Tyson Fury could be one of those guys. If he fights Wilder for a third time, beats Wilder, fights Anthony Joshua, beats him too, you tell me what unfinished business left is there for Tyson Fury? What? I mean, granted that he would be in possession of all the world titles, all the major ones, you know, all 4 of those, and the Ring Magazine belt, the IBO, for good measure. If he collects all the straps, granted that there are going to be any number of young up-and-comers, contenders, gunning for Tyson Fury because he will be the authority at the weight. But isn't that always the case with most every champion, whether they're unified or not? There's always somebody on your trail. There's always somebody breathing down your neck, so that don't mean a heck of a lot.
Still retired.
Tyson Fury defeats Anthony Joshua. That pretty much covers all the bases, doesn't it? The who's who of the postmodern era could have been beaten by the same guy. Now, I'm not saying he will or won't beat Anthony Joshua so much as if he does, you tell me what the hell he's got left to do. Can't be finance. It can't be for finance that he would stick around when, look, he made money in the first fight with Wilder. He made about $30 million, maybe more. And the second fight with Wilder, he's getting 60% of the pot. 60% of the rubber match. If he wins the rubber match, he will participate in what could be, what very well could be, the biggest fight the United Kingdom's shores has ever seen. A record-breaking fight. So finance won't be any reason, enough motivation to stick around in the sport of boxing, because he'll be financially set for the rest of his life. Do you think that Tyson Fury doesn't know this? Tyson Fury was quoted as saying, "Joshua has my leftovers. I never lost those belts." He says, "I got 2 more fights left, and then we'll really think about what we're gonna do and go from there. Because how long is a piece of string? I'm undefeated in 31 professional fights, and this is my 12th year as a professional. I've already been undisputed champion of the world when I beat Klitschko. I had all the belts," Fury said on the morning. "So as far as I'm concerned, Anthony Joshua only got my leftovers because I never lost those belts. I had to vacate them for mental health problems. The focus on they're my belts. Until a man is defeated in the boxing ring, how can you claim to be a champion when you haven't beat the champion? I beat the dominant heavyweight of our era with 26 title defenses and went to Germany to do it. Then I went to America and beat the guy that no one would fight. And then I'll come back and I'll have 2 more fights, and hopefully then we'll sail off into the sunset." Try and understand that the aforementioned perspectives I've given you, it's not just me putting things in a certain lens or a certain scope. These views have already been expressed by Tyson Fury himself, that if he beats Wilder and he fights Joshua as what could very well be the final fight of his career, there's nothing left to prove after that. That, you know, in the realm of finance wouldn't be an incentive for Tyson Fury to stick around that much longer, because he will have already made an exorbitant amount of money with the Wilder fights and what could be the Joshua fight or Joshua fights. And in terms of legacy, sticking around for some residual sense of unfinished business, what unfinished business? If he fights Joshua and beats him, that's all the business right there. Tyson Fury could go down in history as the greatest heavyweight champion the United Kingdom has ever produced. That's right, perhaps even greater than Lennox Lewis, I dare say.
Shut your
because
mouth!
Lennox Lewis, as decorated as he is, he's got his blemishes. The loss to Oliver McCall, which he avenged. The loss to Hasim Rahman, which he avenged. The unfinished business with Vitaly Klitschko, lest we forget.
Happened at a rematch.
And how soon we forget. There were a lot of people that were waiting for Lennox to give that guy a rematch, and he decided to retire. A lot of people felt that Vitaly was well on his way to winning that fight in spite of the gruesome cut. He was up on the cards. Lennox didn't stick around long enough to give that guy a second fight. And Lennox Lewis is highly regarded as one of the best, if not the greatest, heavyweight champion the United Kingdom has produced. If Tyson Fury retires off a victory to Anthony Joshua,
Might surpass him.
he may take the throne, as the greatest heavyweight champion the United Kingdom has ever produced, because he doesn't have the blemishes that
What a unfinished business.
Lennox Lewis has, and he will be effectively leaving no unfinished business left behind. Just in the realm of unfinished business, when it comes to Lennox, it's not just the Vitaly Klitschko rematch that never happened. There is also the Riddick-Bowe fight that never happened to consider. And I'm not assigning culpability, assigning blame to Lennox for the fight never happened. We all know that Riddick-Bowe quite famously dumped his WBC title in the trash.
Right.
But better still, that has an effect.
It does have an effect.
Over Lennox's legacy, because the fight never took place. In that way, we'll never know who would have won the fight, or we can all have our guesstimates, our ideas, our opinions. But the fact of the matter is, the fight never took place. So if we cross-compare what could be Tyson Fury's legacy with Lennox's, if Tyson Fury fights Anthony Joshua and beats him, that answers all the questions. That he effectively fought everyone who was anyone in his time and left no stone unturned, no business unfinished, no residual feeling of what could have been that did not happen. If he has that fight and wins that fight, he can effectively sail into the sunset, having answered the most important questions of his time. Context is key here, folks. I'm not slighting Lennox Lewis's legacy in the least bit. It's a great legacy, and most heavyweight fighters should be so lucky to have half the success that Lennox had as a fighter and an attraction. I'm not slighting him so much as making a comparison, retrospect, that if Tyson Fury retires having beaten Anthony Joshua, you could argue that he is the greatest heavyweight champion the United Kingdom has ever produced. Perhaps even more so than Lennox, because Tyson would have answered all the questions that Lennox did not, for one reason or another.
Regardless of why.
And he would have done so without the blemishes. The blemishes to an Oliver McCall, the blemishes to a Hasim Rahman.
For the first time in the history of British boxing, the opportunity for the undisputed heavyweight title to be contested between two homegrown Brits is upon us. Such is an opportunity that both teams, both sides of the spectrum, are ready to move on here and now.
That is what Anthony Joshua's side of things is saying. That is what Eddie Hearn is talking about, that the conversations have already begun between him and Bob to see that fight happening sometime in December. The fact that the undisputed heavyweight title could be contested between two guys from the UK, two guys from over there, it's a unique opportunity. And for Tyson Fury, you gotta think about it. He won all these belts on the road, you know. The fight with Klitschko was in Germany, in Klitschko's backyard. The two fights with Wilder, and what could be the third, that's gonna be here in America. What better finish, what better finale to his career would it be to contest for the final piece of the puzzle against Anthony Joshua in the United Kingdom? And you're telling me that if he wins that fight, he's not the greatest heavyweight champion the UK's ever seen?
Why don't you get the fuck out of here?
Get the fuck out of here, okay? Get the fuck out of here. The way that the stars are aligning for this thing, it's almost like something out of a comic book.
It's too good to be true.
That Tyson Fury could go down in history as not just one of the greatest heavyweight champions the sport has ever seen, but specific to the Brits. He may just be the greatest heavyweight champion they've produced. Yeah, I think there's an actual argument there, and I don't see how anyone could disagree with that. What if he wins?